this gets boring if it's just me talking. I used to think it was really gross, people that let dogs lick their faces. And I didn't grow up in a dog household. And in fact, I kind of grew up with a sense that dogs were like outside animals at best, and were just like harbingers of like disease and danger. And I think this is kind of maybe like a slightly more sort of third world perspective on dogs, right? My parents grew up in Sudan, and in Sudan, if there are dogs, they're like feral, and they do carry disease. And when my older brother, one of my older brothers was like 5 or 6, we were in Sudan, he got bitten by a dog, and then he had to go and have like all the rabies, like post-exposure treatments, which was just like lots and lots of injections. So like growing up, I knew that if dogs bit you, you got rabies, and you had to have 6 injections in your stomach. And so that's a fairly powerful kind of it creates a very powerful emotional response to the idea of dogs. So when Cassie and I was first, going out courting, I knew that she had a dog, and I'd met the dog, and the dog seemed fine, very small, very cute, and seemed fine. You know when you really like someone, you're like willing to. And then as we hung out more and more and more, like I ended up having to hang out with Corey more and more and more, and it was fine, but he was still basically a dog with a dog's mouth. So, quite early on in us going out, sitting with Cassie on the sofa, and leaned in, to kiss the person to become my future wife. First kiss, and Corey jumped up on the sofa and began licking my face and licking Cassie's face. So essentially joining in that first kiss. And basically my stomach kind of like spasmed a little bit, right? And I tried to do this thing where I just kept my mouth really tightly shut and was trying to figure out like what's the minimum possible time that I could like not wipe my face looking disgusted without looking uncool. And so it's been quite a journey to go from like that to essentially having Corey as a member of the family who shares my bed, food, drink. And it's kind of maybe, I don't know, it's like an interesting lesson in prejudice. 'Cause there's there are all of these rational reasons that you might have for believing the things you might believe about a dog if you weren't growing up with dogs. And the information that you rely on when you fear something or dislike something is from other people who fear and dislike it as well. And it's all consistent. It all falls into like a decent logical schema. And these are otherwise completely reasonable people. And it's got that veneer of like logic to it as well, that veneer of science. Germs are bad. Animals carry germs. Disease comes from animals. Therefore, even a domesticated animal is going to be the source of germs. And when I think about kind of that, and I think about how much I love this little snoring puffin right now, and just think about kind of how completely different my emotional experience is of him compared to what I had, it makes me realize that there's maybe a possibility that you can take any human who has a deep fear and hatred or like anxiety about something and give them an actual experience of that thing, that person, that community, that country, that religion, that whatever it is that they're afraid of. And they might end up in a place of like deep affection and respect. And in fact, even more than that, symbiosis with it. And actually I often say that the things that Corey has taught me about the world and about how to be are probably some of the most profound lessons that anyone has ever taught me. So I saw a guy with a t-shirt once that just said, like, I aspire to be the person my dog thinks I am. And I think if I try and act up to being how Corey is with other people, I am always a better person, right? So Corey will go out on the street with him, And if somebody smiles at him and is like looking to engage and interact, he will interact with them. And he won't care whether they are sort of young or old. He won't care what they look like. He won't care how much money they've got, where in society they sit. So when we used to walk him around sort of Central and Cambridgeport when we lived there, we would interact with a really big sort of cross-section of the community that we otherwise might not have come into contact with unless we were volunteering at a homeless shelter. Corey is just delighted to spend time with anybody. He loves pack walks. He loves it when people are together and moving in the same direction. His favourite things, the things that he wants, are actually very, very simple. Like, he wants feeding. He likes water occasionally. He really likes cuddling. And even when he wants a treat or he wants to kind of go away from the storm, these aren't unreasonable demands. It's not like he wants like another penthouse apartment in a Western capital, right? And then his happiness derives from the things that he has in the moment. So, you know, we have to leave Corey on his own sometimes, and you know, he's not a huge fan of that. And when you come back, though, he's just so delighted that you're back. Bears no grudge, like he's not upset, doesn't huff with you that you left him alone for the day. Entirely present in that moment. Doesn't seem to have much anxiety about the future. It's not like he's worrying about what he's going to be tomorrow or has he found his purpose. He's kind of very, very present. And so when I can remember to try and apply some of those things in the way that I live day to day, I actually both end up in a place where I'm less racked by anxiety, less regret about the past, generally happier, and I'm more grateful for the things that I have around me right now. And that's kind of the sort of, I guess, the weird part of this relationship is that, you know, on one hand, to the best of my knowledge, I have no sense that he sets out in life to be a teacher of how to be a better human being, even though he seems uniquely unqualified for that. But the reality is kind of living with him, interacting with him, looking after him. Like, these are the things that I get. And I think that says something about the nature of relationships more generally. You know, these rigid prisms, these ideas that we have about how a relationship's going to work or what we're going to get out of it, whether it's like a educational transaction or a financial transaction or a personal transaction. We can have these very strong schemas, and they can be absolutely wrong. But if you're willing to sort of try and have your own authentic experience, be open-minded with a thing, with a person, with an opportunity, it may be that you learn the lessons that you need to. So I'm kind of grateful for him for that and for all the things that he teaches me.
Hi, Sully. Should we go to the bathroom for you? We should probably do that. Right here, Corey. You have so many skills.
I think it gets boring if it's just me talking.